Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our Paws on Netflix podcast.
In today's podcast, we're covering a film that was requested to us by Sean Phoenix, titled The Mortal Instruments City of Bones.
Yes, and this film promises a cinematic franchise startup to adapting the Mortal Instruments books. However, once you actually begin watching it, you'll be questioning if you really watched an actual movie.
Right? But before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notification updates on future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
Yes, and here we go.
Yeah, and before we even start, I kept seeing comments on YouTube because they also had it up on YouTube for free to watch with some ads in it. And a lot of people was like, oh my gosh, why didn't they do more with this? This was awesome. And granted, we haven't read the books.
But we did start watching the series on demand, again by Phoenix's recommendation.
Yeah.
And we do plan on getting the books. Or we did plan on getting the books before watching this movie.
Oh, yeah. And then we kept wondering, like, were we watching the same movie? That's all I could guess, because this was one of the strangest movies we have seen, and it doesn't matter we haven't read the books. This should be, if it's an exceptional literature and this popular to keep getting adapted, why wasn't this more entertaining for the ones who've never seen it or read it?
Even if you just watched it, like, hey, there's something here on Netflix. It came out. It's a new movie. Let's check it out. Even if you knew nothing about the books and the series or anything, if it hadn't been for Phoenix recommending it and we're promising to finish it, I would have turned that movie off in 10 minutes.
Yeah, because it was just one of the strangest things. Like, immediately when it starts, it is just a strange movie. And the acting is so-so. All I can say is so-so. It's like, are you trying? Are you trying? Are any of you trying? and they have this one right thing in there for part of the film, like the beginning, when the girl is constantly making the Shadow Hunter symbol, and she doesn't realize she's doing it. But then it gets to a point where she did it in the coffee, and then you can't even tell what she did in the coffee because it's messed up.
We have a picture of that, so you should be seeing it right now and going, what is this?
Yeah, I was like, wait, was that supposed to be something we're scared of or what?
The best part of this movie, besides when it ended, is actually seeing Klaus in this movie playing the role. And I kept looking at him like, we know him. And because he was doing a different role than he did in the Umbrella Academy, it took me a little bit, and I went, wait a minute, that's Klaus. Oh my gosh, that's Klaus.
Yeah.
And he actually did a good job.
Yeah.
He actually did a good job. He was probably the best performance in the entire movie.
Yes.
What's his name?
What does we just call him Klaus, because that's what we know him more than anything else.
Best performance of the movie.
Yeah. And they have it up as a action, drama, supernatural. Well, supernatural really come into a little later because most of the people are supposed to be the shadows that they're hunting and everything. It's kind of confusing because it's not even like you're watching Supernatural. It's like you can't even tell if they're fighting monsters or people that work for the monsters. And they have some really uncomfortable scenes sometimes you watch it. It's like, why is this in this movie?
The worst part about this movie was the so-called plot. It was all over the place. If there was supposed to be a storyline, they threw it out the window.
Right.
And it just seems like they put a bunch of different scenes together, put them in some order, and decide to tell you, hey, this is the movie. There's supposed to be a story. I'm not buying it.
Right?
The dad is a jerk. And another character whom she likes, well, that's not going to happen.
Probably.
And then the ending is like, what in the hell is this? You talk about anime? Man.
No.
This movie here.
And then when they get to the best thing I can say visually about it, because the effects aren't really all that great, they did well in the sets. Like if they matched the book, they looked like there was a lot of detail. It looked well made. If they weren't already just renting out a place that was already built. They did a good job on how everything looked in terms of the settings, the house they were in, the catacombs, everything. All that looked pretty good, and it looked real. That's about it. Everything else was sort of like, okay, we're going to put a little money here and not so much here.
I want to say that when we watched this, we expected to watch something that would be entertaining.
Right.
We thought it was actually going to be good. We should have known better because Phoenix kept saying, I really want to hear what you think about this. I really want to hear what you got to say about this movie. I can't wait to hear it.
It's like, what was this movie? Oh, and then they have a vampire fight in here, and then there's so many vampires, they just gave up trying to put more people in there. They just started reusing all the people they already had in here, and they just got back up and started fighting.
The characters in here were not believable in any universe. There was no development, no fleshing out, no character development. They were just people in a movie.
Yeah.
Undertaking some actions. There was no one likable in this movie that you were cheering for or rooting for or you wanted to win.
No.
Like I said, the dad, the one who ends up being her dad, is a douche. The
Yeah.
mom was put out of commission, like in Greenhouse Academy,
Right.
where she was like Sleeping Beauty and laying out for the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
After, and I take that back, after she was a badass in the beginning, and she did a much better job than they did with the mom in the series when she fought back. She reminded me of the mom from
Vicious versus the Machine.
Yes. She was badass. It's like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, yeah, look at her. Oh, my gosh. And then she takes an elixir to put herself out, and then she's Sleeping Beauty the rest of the movie.
And it's like, well, there goes that.
So I take that back. You did like the mom, and then they took her out of commission.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
The daughter's got issues. The daddy's got real big issues.
Right.
And then the guy that, and then
Is,
Klaus's character is in love with her, and that's not going to happen.
For sure.
And then the other guy who comes along to save the main character, whatever her name is.
Sorry.
To save the main character, and they get hot and heavy, and you think something's going to happen. Well, that's not going to happen either. And then the guy who's the vampire played by Klaus, that you think is going to turn to a vampire because he got bitten, somehow never turns to a vampire.
No.
And they don't explain to you how he never turned to a vampire.
No. They just said, oh, I can see without my glasses. Wow, I feel more energized. And he looks better in shape. Like, immediately he gets better looking, and then that's it. He has no thirst for blood. There is no danger to sunlight. Nothing that would make you think, okay, he's turned into a vampire ever comes up. It's like, we're done with that now. We're done with that now. Nothing. We're never gonna bring that up again.
And then a lot of things happen. And then they get to the end of the movie.
Fighting.
She rides off on a motorcycle with the blonde guy. And do we put the spoiler here?
Well, okay, spoiler alert.
Yes, it's supposed to be her brother, but they decided they don't care they're brother and sisters. They're going to go ahead and hook up anyway and ride off to the sunset. It's like, and they talk about anime,
Yes.
That's crap.
And they said, well, I don't believe that we're siblings. It's like, I don't care what you
And it's
believe.
like, how many people have told you your brother and sister?
Yeah.
How many people have told you it's true? Even the blonde guy, whatever his name is, and you
Who
know
cares?
it's bad when you don't even remember the names of the characters. He said he believed it. He felt it was true, but then he got to the end of the movie and go, you know what? I'm going to go off with my sister. I believe it's true. Come on, let's go.
Right, and then, like I said, they talk about anime. This is a huge trope in anime. We see it quite a few times, but they do it here, and it's like, we're accepting this. This is okay. Oh, yeah, they're siblings, but they don't feel like it because of how much time they spend, so we're going to ignore that. Just pretend we never said that and keep going. We'll prove it.
At least in the anime, it's never reciprocated. You got one sibling that's in love with the other, and the other is having a relationship or married or something with someone else. That sibling refuses to acknowledge it. And if they're in high school, it's the same way. You got one sibling that's in love with the other, and the other one doesn't feel the same way, and the other one is crazy.
Right.
And here, they're both crazy, and they both decide to, forget that this is not legal, and they're going to do it anyway. And it's like, not only is it not legal, it's like, what's wrong with you?
Right? This goes, everything is wrong with this.
I don't know if this happened in the book. Please let us know, Phoenix, in the comments below. Did this happen in the book, or did somebody think, hey, we'll throw this in, and this will really be popular with
No, the people who got particular shift taste, and it's like, hey, we even seen one anime where they said, okay, we can't do this, let's just pretend this never happened, and they don't go anywhere. But they're just like, you know what, we don't feel like siblings, so let's just go ahead with what we were gonna do before. And it's just like, and you can see like the horror in the beginning when they heard like, that can't be right, it can't be true, and they're like, oh my gosh. And then they like, you know what, screw it, I like you still, so let's just ignore the information we just learned, and we'll prove that we're not siblings. And it's like, no, how about you wait and at least find out and fact check, because it looks like it's true, but yeah, don't do anything. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
Who wrote this?
Now, the character that Lily played, whatever her character's name is, you didn't cheer for her. You didn't want her to get taken out, but you didn't care. And I think that's really what was an underlying feeling or emotion when you were watching this movie, is you just didn't care. You didn't care about the characters, you didn't care about the plot, you didn't care about what was happening. You did care the mom got put out of commission because she was a likable character in here. You just didn't care. There was no world building. There was no character building.
No, because they stay in one area the whole movie.
There was no story. There was no plot. Plot twist, the only one I see is the vampire guy who got bitten by a vampire didn't turn to a vampire, and you're never told why.
Nope.
But he got some, extra benefits. And the guy, the blonde guy that's supposed to be her brother, was totally unlikable. The dad was a douche, and yeah, he's like just better his father as Tucker in Full Metal Alchemist. This movie was just like, it should have never been made. It's like,
no,
money should have been spent to maybe create a couple more volumes of the book series,
right,
or just say forget it,
or make an animated series or something.
I didn't think I would find a movie that was worse than either the live action Artemis Fowl or Flora and Ulysses, but this is it. This movie is terrible. And if you are a fan of this movie, my condolences. I am so sorry, but this movie is horrible.
Even with not knowing it, and Sean has read the books and he didn't even like it, so I'm not sure where the comments were saying they loved it and they wished every movie was like this and they wanted to see more. I'm like, okay, if this is accurate, then why is it so bad? How are the books popular?
Netflix could have saved this money for something else. This is right up there with the live action anime adaptations that they do. It's in the same genre. It's in the same boat as the rest of those. This is really, really bad.
Yeah.
Sorry. I see nothing redeeming about it. And one character you like got taken out and put to sleep. And you just didn't care what happened. Nor did you care about the characters. You just wanted it to end. And honestly, if we weren't watching it per request, it would have ended a lot sooner.
You're right.
And wouldn't have this podcast.
Right.
Now, that being said, if you want something to laugh at because you enjoy watching cringe vision workings, you should watch this movie. If you haven't seen it, you'll be laughing your head off. You will think this is the best comedy you've ever seen. So, if that's what you like, I recommend you watch it for laughter value, for comedic entertainment, for just seeing just how bad something can be. This is the movie for you.
Yeah. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation, and more weird live action adaptations.
It's available on Netflix, and it's available on YouTube.
Yes.
So choose your poison. Either way, you're going to get the same experience.
Yeah.
So now, I have to say this. If you have seen The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones, let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you truly, sincerely liked it, tell us what we missed. Tell us, did you read the books before? And did you find it to be accurate and maybe that's why you liked it? Or you just like this type of movie? I don't know. But please explain to us why you found this enjoyable. We will read your comments and sincerely take them into account, because we always enjoy hearing what you think.
Right. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mama Entertainments. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate you.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.